$25,000. Yeah. More bit. It felt great out there. You know, we are fine. Somewhere to be outside. It's good, it's a great shot. It is, I'd say, there ain't no doubt. Yeah, all in the minute. Our bird this year. Good. Good. Yeah. People got in.
I fixed it.
Thank you. I ain't done ready yet. We've been busy this morning. All right, Chambers County Commissioner Court coming to order. It's the regular meeting of the court on Tuesday, the 27th day, September 2022, 9:30 a.m. County Courtroom, Manaway, Texas. We also have a special called meeting for 9:30 a.m. We'll take that when BJ gets here. First, we have a proclamation. 1.1 is discuss and consider proclamation designating October 2 through 8, 2022 as National 4-H Week in Texas.
Are we gonna do the prayer and the pledge?
Oh, y'all gonna give me time? Laura Lee.
Oh,
Tell my wife I called you Laura.
I'm sure she's seen that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. So with that being said, since it is National 4-H Week, we have Dustin Poole here with 4-H. He'll do the prayer. Bradley Poole the pledges, and then Kennedy Wagner will read the resolution. So if you'll all rise for the prayer, please.
All right. Sorry about that, Judge.
That's okay.
Dear God, thank you today. Thank you for letting us come here today. And I pray that you give the judges and commissioners wisdom to make wise decisions. And thank you for today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dustin. Bradley, good morning.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, sir. Andy, good morning. Make sure that's on. Aaron, just make sure that's on. And get it down there with you.
This is the National 4-H Week proclamation celebrating opportunity for all. Whereas the Chambers County Commissioners Court is proud to honor the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service for 115 years of providing experience-based education to youth throughout the Lone Star State. And whereas this admirable program, which seeks to provide learning and experience for all youth through their head, heart, hands, health, helps young Texans to acquire knowledge, develop life skills, and form attitudes to enable them to become self-directive, productive, and contributing members to our society. And whereas the program's more than 550 urban, suburban, and rural youth participants ranging from age 8 to 18 hail from diverse ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds and truly represent a cross-section of the state. And whereas the program undoubtedly could not have achieved success for what it is today were it not for the service of its more than 22,000 volunteers who have given generously of their time, talents, energies, and resources to help the youth of Texas. And whereas throughout the proud history of the 4-H program has developed a positive role models for countless Texans through its innovative and inspiring programs, continues to build character and to instill values that have made our state strong and great. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Chambers County Commissioners Court hereby designated October 2nd through the 8th, 2022 as National 4-H Week in Texas and commend the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service and the many men and women who have made the program a success.
Motion by Commissioner's Court, second by Commissioner's Court, and all those are in favor.
All right.
Aye. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll get that signed and sent over to you. Do you have the? Or do we have? If you bring it up, we'll get it signed. You want to take a picture?
Yeah.
If y'all bring them up. All right, let's get a picture. Here, Mark. Good.
Also, we have votes for commissioners and judges. What it is, it just explains the numbers and what our 4-H members have done in each club. So if you guys would like to pass those along, each one of you guys have one of those.
And we'll get this a resolution signed and sealed and get it to you later on.
Well, I'd rather have the commissioners on the end, so the lady is in between them. Yeah, between our work and. Let's see. Having you guys kind of look that way, then we can get all done.
Dustin's too tall.
Okay, here we go. Right now, thank you. All right, guys. Oh, did you want?
You mind? No, I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right, now.
Got it? All right, thank you.
All right.
Dustin, Brad. Kennedy, thank you. All right, where'd the resolution end up? Y'all got the resolution?
Yeah, they were back up there.
Yeah, but we need it.
It's,
What'd you give it to them for?
For the photo in the middle.
I know, but then you gave it to them. Yeah, we didn't sign off on it.
Run them down. Too slow.
Okay, see no citizen comments. Here, these are y'all get one.
Take one down, pass it around.
I got the big one, babe. Same line.
You go all the way, you go all the way, right?
All right, 2.1. Discuss and consider the March Fest 2022 out fund audited report. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll let Lindsay kind of go over it. And if
Go on,
you have
Lindsay.
questions.
Good morning, Judge. So we audited the Marsh Fest 2022 event. The reason we did this is because their 2021 event, as you can see in the report, they did not expense all of their funds. So court had decided for their 2021 event to return the remaining funds. And their 2022 event, they commingled the funds that the county gave them with their normal operating expense. And the quarterly reports that they submitted on time, but they could not provide invoices for the amounts that they were reporting. So we put together a list of the invoices they did submit that were sufficient. And that's where we got a total of $18,960, which they did not expense the full $25,000, in our opinion. But we've spoken to March Fest. I'm not sure if they have a representative here.
anyone here from March Fest? Good morning, man. You want to speak, address the city thing?
I sent in a letter.
Come on up, please. Sorry to make you come to the mic, but we need to get you on the record. State your name. for the record.
Good morning, Debbie Bro, Marsh
Morning, Deb.
Fest.
Okay, go ahead. What were you saying, Dave?
Oh, I was just saying, I sent in a letter to Lindsay from our board.
And that it should be attached to the end of the report.
Okay, 13.
And Debbie was not over the 2022 event. She's new. So we've discussed things that they can do to improve how funds are handled in the future.
Okay, any questions? I mean, anything we need to act on?
There is in the conclusion, since they didn't expense the full 25,000, the difference, I'm sorry.
$6,040.
Yeah. That we can request back. That's up to you guys. Last year, when they didn't expense it all, y'all requested they pay it back.
Well, and I think we almost have to.
Yeah.
Or I think we do have to. And so we request it back and then we'll fund them again next year.
Just a Matter of process though. Since this is the audit, do we have to have a separate agenda item or do we even need court action to ask them to refund that?
I can ask them, I mean, it can come from me or we can put it on the court.
Or my office can handle that as well.
All right, we'll let Sam handle it. Thank you, Sam.
I'm here for it.
All right, thank you.
And I just want to say that they really are working hard to get this all straight, so I have all the faith in the world that we're gonna get this together and get it all figured out eventually, and that we'll continue to have a positive relationship.
Oh, yeah, it's a good event. I mean,
It absolutely is. So,
absolutely. Great for county. All right, Deb, anything else?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here, man. All right, no action, let's accept, motion to accept.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Hammond. No other questions, comments? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carried. 2.2, public hearing at 10, 2.3, 2.4 is active public hearing. 3.1, public hearing, 3.2. Discuss and consider setting a public hearing at 10 a.m. on October 11th, 2022. For the purpose of closing Needle Point Road due to safety concerns in regards to a music festival being held October 29th to 31st. From 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. from Kilgore Parkway South to FN 565.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Hammond. Question? Self-explanatory, we talked about it last court. No questions,
We're
comments?
gonna push something out on our website and everything, so all the neighbors through Samantha's office, everybody knows.
We're gonna actually set up some road signs and stuff, message boards.
Okay.
But yes, we agree, we need to put it on the
Right.
web. Sam, will you take care of that?
all right, I was only halfway with it. What am I supposed to
Make
do?
sure this gets out on 3.2.
3-2.
Okay,
to the public.
the information's in the packet that I need to know, pertinent information. Okay, I'll take care of it.
Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 3.3, discuss and consider passing a temporary no parking ordinance on FN 565 between FN 3180 and FN 1405, as well as FN 2354 from 565 to FN 3180, October 29th through 31st, 2022.
I'll make that motion also.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tyson. Questions? Same for this one, Sam.
Time for this.
I got you.
Those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Pull, I'm gonna pull 3.4.
3.4, discuss, consider removing Cedar Hill Drive as dedicated in recorded plat of Cedar Hill Estates recorded in volume 8, page 96 of the map record of Chambers County, Texas, from the county road maintenance system. Relinquish any title Chambers County, Texas may have inside and said right away. We'll pull 3.4. 3.5, discuss and consider future funding for widening Kilgore Parkway from Highway 99 to FM 31A.
Yeah.
Corey, you taking this? Billy?
I'll take it, Judge. We've got our project now, we're taking Kilgore to 4 lanes from 146 to Highway 99. And we're extending to 2 lanes from Highway 99 over to 3180. We were very hopeful that we could fund the additional 2 lanes to make that a boulevard all the way through the TERS. However, as we all know, as we've talked about in the past, that has been tied up in a lawsuit that has contested the language that was on the ballot when that was passed in the at our last legislative session. It was actually a constitutional amendment that would allow counties to do so. So we don't know when that's going to happen. And in the meantime, on Kilgore, the property that would be between Highway 99 and 3180 on the south side of Kilgore Parkway and the north side of 565 primarily, we were always of the impression that was going to be developed as residential. However, it's not. It looks like it's going to go industrial and be warehouses in that area. And CCID number 3 has plans to annex and bring that in. So and looking at this and looking at the trucks and stuff entering that Kilgore Parkway and the expected residential traffic that we're going to have connecting from 3180 and all the new development going over there over to Chamberstown Center and all the retail areas around 146. It is grave concern, Road and Bridge, Corey, I think shares that, Bobby. But we're very hesitant to allow curb cuts in these trucks entering Kilgore without getting the other two lanes. So I have approached CCID number 3 about helping fund putting these other lanes in. Well, CCID number 3 is a very new, I guess, it's not really new, but doesn't have much tax base on the ground. And they just do not have the financial capabilities now to sell bonds. They don't have the security in place to sell bonds in order to fund it. The project's about a $4 million addition to do that. So we've been talking with the developers that's looking to develop in it. And actually the $4 million is just really too much for them. So what I've been visiting with Aaron, and what I'm trying to propose is that we do a cost share, about a 50-50 cost share. So I think we visiting with Aaron, we could probably come up with 2 million of this and then go back and get the developers to come up with the other 2 million to go ahead and get the lanes in now versus
Down the
road or later, where right now is the time to do it. If not, I mean, personally, I'm gonna have a hard time allowing those trucks to enter that road without getting the other 2 lanes on it, making that left turn. And not to mention, as soon as that's opened up, I can just only imagine what's going to happen with the trucks that want to avoid the toll on 99 that's going to be shooting over to 3180. I think that's going to happen no matter what we do. And just putting those on 2 lanes. And I do anticipate there's going to be quite a bit of residential traffic that will be trying to avoid 565 or Interstate 10 that'll be making that, cut through there. I think it's going to be very heavily used once it's opened up. So what I wanted to do is see if the court would be amenable, and I'll let Aaron discuss, where funds might be, where we probably get these funds from. But, we've got them. Part of it would be from EW4 money that we put in that we're not going to end up doing, and maybe some other savings.
Come out right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
But Aaron, you want to elaborate on where the funds might come from?
Yeah, we talked about, we by park, we talked about putting about 6 million for the community building plus infrastructure. Hopefully that's enough. And then the rest, we can maybe use some of that for the Kilgore Parkway, maybe use some CO money for the EW4 we're not doing. We had to move some money to help pay for the wall parks for weather. There should be some more money there. So those are some couple options y'all can consider.
So where are we on the tier? On TERS?
Every
BJ, you out there?
Yeah, the TERS, it passed the House, overwhelmingly bipartisan. It passed the Senate bipartisan. It went before the voters and passed, I think, about a 65% voter approval rate. But then whenever it went to the governor's desk to get signed, there was a lawsuit filed by a group that was contesting the verbiage that was on the ballot for the constitutional amendment. So we cannot, I don't know, BJ, have you heard any updates on it?
No, the Secretary of State is the plaintiff in this, or the defendant in this case, and so they offered to give us updates as soon as any changes in the status of the litigation moves forward. As far as status quo.
All right, so we could still, once this gets approved, if it gets approved, we still create our TERS.
Yes, and TERS in and of itself can do that. We can move forward with it. There's an evaluation working with the appraisal district. The footprint and boundaries have been identified. The census tracts or parcels have been identified. Now the ability to go forth and establish the base value to move forward with that. We can move forward with all those elements as compared to just being able to pledge those the increment toward funding bonds, if you will.
Okay, so we can't go forward.
That's correct.
We just can't pledge that.
Right.
Yeah, if you recall, right, I think a couple of courts ago, we did we did establish 2022 as the base year. And we also created the boundaries, approved the boundaries for it, so.
So if we go ahead and fund it, we can get paid back and this goes in there.
You know, I don't know the answer to
There's
that.
no clarification on that, Commissioner, as it stands right now.
Yeah.
Typically, prior to counties, I mean, the main difference is that Prop 2 would allow counties to move forward with funding debt, and that was prohibited, but pay-as-you-go format can be allowed. I mean, you can designate those funds as you like as a county.
All right, so what are you asking from the court?
To approve up to $2 million for a match, developer match. I mean, if we don't get the developer match, then I don't want to do it right now.
Okay, so go ahead and make your motion. I mean, I know-
Okay, my motion is that the court will approve up to $2 million to go toward a developer match to add the south 2 lanes on Kilgore Parkway between Highway 99 and 3180.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Tice. Other questions?
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
Can we get something in writing before we? I mean, is this year gonna be contingency on an agreement?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
his motion is continued on.
And this is just for 3.5.
Yeah.
3.6 is separate.
Yeah.
Top 4 lanes are gonna be in that.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Those in favor?
All right.
Opposed, motion carries. BJ, come on up. We'll take care of you.
My lucky day.
It's a lucky day.
Hello, BJ.
Morning, Commissioners, Judge.
All right, so let's go to 5.5. Let's go consider Chambers County Logistics Terminal LP Chapter 31 Economic Development Proposal.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners. What you have before you is a proposal from Chambers County Logistics Terminal LP for their next building, 565, their campus there, for building 9. It's contemplated. Approximate capital deployment is about $42 million for improvements, infrastructure and equipment. What is proposed today is to present this proposal for consideration and then come back next quarter recommendation with respect to their requests, consistent with the other agreements that the court has approved for this applicant. And so an overview of the site plans are provided and the particulars with respect to build out. Just as a matter of reminder, previous agreements for this applicant for Chambers County Logistics Terminal have been approved under phases. And currently the court has several agreements with CCLT under 5 phases. So building 9 would be phase 6, if you will, proposed if in fact it's approved. And there's an outlying agreement to be worked related to building number 3, which will be coming back to the court next court session to present, which may be separate or combined with the proposal for building number 9. So what's proposed today is simply to accept the application in the court proposal.
Yeah, BJ, we still have some outstanding issues that have not been
Been
resolved
resolved.
yet.
Okay.
So
Sure. All right.
I'd really like to just hold off till we get everything resolved.
Is there?
Yeah.
Will the court accept the application to start the proposal or negotiation process?
I don't think that'll hurt anything.
I guess we can accept it, but I
Yeah,
just
per
want to
policy.
make sure they understand that we need to get some things resolved before we
Very good.
can finalize.
The chapter 3.1 policy allows a 60-day negotiation period. So this would be the start of it. In fact, the court chooses to do that today.
So I'm not really happy with a 60% for 10 years. I mean, I'm not really competing for those guys to come here. So they're already here. They're just expanding their business. So seems like a little much to me.
So we can negotiate 60 days.
Yes, start of the period. And I understand some of the outlying issues there associated with it.
So you have issues.
There's a few things, some funding that we've been working partnership with that are still outstanding. We're waiting on a signed MOU back. And we still have the thing that we're trying to finalize with getting the added patrol in the area.
Okay.
So, before we actually agree to the 381, I just want to make sure all of that stuff's in place.
Okay, so that's the issue, and then the 60%. Is the issue that we need to pay.
And I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but
I agree.
It just seems like a lot for,
For 10 years.
they're gonna build it anyway, so.
Okay, so I'll move that we accept the application for the 60-day negotiating period.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Questions? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Let's go to the special call meeting. For the Tuesday, 27th day of September. And this is special call meeting. It's got one item, discuss and consider TGS CP 6363 LLC tax abatement amendment. BJ.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. This is a request by TGS CP 6363 LLC to amend an agreement that was approved by the court back in, well, actually, process of establishing a reinvestment zone, and approval was tabled in November of last year because of negotiations with the tenant. As it stands right now, the proposal, the request that's being set forth is to amend that agreement to reflect the ability to land a tenant that's noted in the cover letter by TGS CP 6363 LLC. They're working with a Fortune 100 tenant that has a current presence in the county. You'll note the particulars associated with this particular tenant. The job creation is noted there. Inventory average that's cited at $12 million. Leasehold improvements are going to be approximately $6 million, and tenant improvements, material handling equipment would be an additional $30 million associated above and beyond the approximate $60 million for the development. In the paragraph, second to last paragraph on page 1, you'll note that part of the project will be some funding improvements for approximately 1 mile of FM 1405, which would be taken into consideration as part of the proposal. They're requesting some consideration, just as the other applicant is, to consider amending the agreement to reflect a potential 60% tax abatement for this particular tenant. This profile is very similar to the approach that Hunt Southwest took for their distribution center that ultimately was leased to Walmart. So the consideration would be to accept the application today, get some more detailed information associated with this improvement on the 1 mile of FM 1405 to accommodate this and any other particulars, and come back next quarter with recommendations associated with those factors.
You know, I think our agenda packet kind of got scrambled up, unless it's just me. But the supplemental agenda has the data, the backup information in here is KTN's backup information. So I don't see all the stuff that you were just referring to, BJ. I mean, I'm okay with accepting it, you know, and I'm aware a little bit of the tenant and what's going to be going. I mean, I'm in full support of that, but I don't know. Am I missing something?
No,
Do y'all have the information?
I see. Yeah, it was submitted as part of that.
Yeah, I understand. I think there was an error in the actually packaging of this. So today we're just accepting the application and we can get the other information sent to it.
That's correct. Actually, the packet that should have been attached to the supplemental, actually.
I understand, but it just wasn't. That's
I
all.
understand.
Okay, I'll move that we accept that.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Question? Hear none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, BJ.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, it's 10:01 a.m. Well, then go to public hearing, basically on time. Okay, so 2.2, public hearing 10 a.m. regarding the proposed 2022 tax rate and the 2023 Chambers County annual budgets. It's 10:01 a.m. We will recess out of regular session of Commissioner's Court and go to the public hearing at this time. Aaron, you'll kind of go over the highlights of the budget and tax rate, please.
Yes, sir. So I'll start tax rate. So for 2021, the current tax rate is 0.539 cents. and it's going down in 2022 to 0.491 cents, which is almost a 5 cent decrease, but the 49 cents is right at the voter approval rate. Just kind of quickly, industry's taking about 66% of that, 24% is local. And I remember, it's one to just kind of mention again, earlier this year, y'all did approve to increase the homestead exemption. Well, I mean, the over 65 and disabled from 60 to 200K on the exemptions, just FYI, as a reminder. So for budget 23, right now it's at $96.5 million. That includes general fund, road, debt, EMS, school equalization, enterprise funds, which are golf, airport, solid waste, and fire marshal. So the big real increase to the budget this year is going to be your 28 new employees. 21 is from the sheriff's office, which includes 9 new jailers, 2 dispatchers, 4 deputies, patrol deputies, 4 industrial deputies, 2 sergeants. The other employees are bus driver, district clerk, economic development, pretrial, technology, parks, and maintenance. They all got 1 new employee. Everyone got a 2,500 across the board raise, and then a 5% for anybody under the collective bargaining agreement, which is deputies and jailers, sergeants, detectives, people like that. Your debt went down, 22, you paid about $9.1 million in debt. It's going down to $8.9 million. Just kind of a little quick breakdown. So the general fund budget with safety and law enforcement and the judicial is 54% of your county budget. And then if you include governmental stuff like non-departmental maintenance, tech, that's 72% of your budget. So that's a big chunk of the general fund budget. That's really about it. I know this year was a little different. We had some new software, so far everyone seemed like they liked it. So I appreciate all the department elected officials for what they did, and really Haley and Brooke, I know y'all saw them a lot this year, so they helped me a whole lot. Honestly, I probably wouldn't be able to do all this stuff, the new stuff, without them. If you have any questions, let me know. And I do have hard copies.
Where's Haley and Brooke? Thank you, ladies. You did a great
Yeah,
job.
very much.
Made us all look good. And Aaron said you got industrial deputies. Actually, those are industrial patrol deputies,
Yeah, that's all.
just for the verification.
The budget will be posted online, the adopted budget, so everyone can look at it. There's a few copies, hard copies of things, but
There's been a slight little change, I think, in our industrial funded patrol deputies. CCID number 1 wishes to 100% fund one that would concentrate, in their area. And so the difference of that, they were picking up approximately 66% or 2/3 of the tab for funding that anyhow. So we still got, a couple $100,000, 250,000 or so that we'd be looking at from CCID number 2 and from KTN. And I've tried to get a hold of the sheriff, but I think he's out of town. And this just came up yesterday. So what I'd like to do is take that other funding and add as much as we can, maybe one more that wouldn't be, a full-time, wouldn't be 24 hours a day, but at least to do some patrolling. The big gap that we'd be getting would be Highway 146, and I was hoping that we could get some funding on 146. And all of this is going to be privately funded. So, it's going to be whatever expense is going to be offset by incoming revenue.
So we may have to start out small and then grow the programs up, kind of what.
No, I think we start the program
Okay.
full speed. I don't want to speak for CCID number 3. James and John are in here, and if I'm misspeaking, please let me know. But my most recent conversation says, they're funding 2/3 of it anyhow. They have already funded. They're funding a deputy right now for 12 hours a day, I think 7 days a week, and they're paying overtime to do that. So what they're gonna do is just step up and go ahead and take this 100%. And trust me, I'm 100% in favor of that. I love it. But having said that, CCID number 2 and KTN are also contributing to a need there. And so I want that cost share to be equal. And so I want to take that extra funds and add, I don't know, if maybe we can add one more deputy or somebody into his west side rotation that he's got going. I need to talk to the sheriff and see what would be the best way to do that. So we're going to be getting a little bit more money than we were originally planning on.
Well, the others agreed to it?
They will.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, I'm certain they will.
You got a big guy?
They have agreed in principle, yes.
Okay, good.
So,
These deputies are for patrolling, not inside the industry.
that's right. They need to be for patrolling.
Yeah, I think.
Traffic.
License and weight, safety patrol.
Absolutely.
So they will be out and visible within on the
Right.
roads.
So my question is, what, does that want to change anything on the budget, or can we handle that within the confines of what's in front of it?
So you're basically gonna get more money, you think?
We're gonna get more money, and likewise, I want to get more patrolling.
Yeah, I think we can adopt this as it is, and then when we get a good MOU or know what we're coming in, we can adjust, we can amend it to the budget.
Do we have a cutoff date on that, do we? I mean.
It needs to be in place by the end of this year, so we can start.
Yeah, we budgeted in January
Yeah, no, I know that. but I
23rd.
mean,
so.
Right.
We're gonna be able to accomplish that.
No, we'll get it.
And if we don't, we start out, I said you may have, if you don't, for some reason, you start out smaller and you don't have 4 full-time deputies. Anyway, well,
It's a win for everybody.
No, it is. It really is, And we have incentivized, and
Years to bake any difference you have. And so you can apply that one time to your rates. So that's one thing we did.
So it's a no new revenue rate. is effective
Yes,
tax
yeah,
rate. They
right.
changed the name on us for whatever reason.
Yes, it did. So that's what that is. This is banking up your unused rate between your adopted and your no new revenue rate. And so last year, because we had a pretty good draw, we decided to keep it
In value.
in values, which we had a chance to increase it because the no new revenue went up, but we didn't. So we were able to bank that and use that for this year.
No, thank you. I mean, because I know a lot of people look at it and say, hey, this is right at the voter approval rate. Why didn't you have to do this? And I mean, there's a reason for that. So I appreciate it
Tell them, call Aaron.
without a doubt.
All right, I got a motion, a second. Are there other questions or comments? Hear none, those in favor? Opposed, motion carries again. Thank you, commissioners, worked hard, the committees that we put together to help pull this all, Commissioner Hammond and Lauren and Aaron and his ladies and, my office worked very well with the auditor's office. Appreciate all the hard work. And it was hard work. So, mostly your two ladies there, but. All right, let's go to 3.1, public hearing, 10 a.m. for the abandonment of a portion of a second-class jury of View Road being a 0.1057 acre tract of land situated in Henry Griffith 812 survey located south of FM 1942 and approved the abandonment. So it's 10:13 a.m. and we will recess out at 10:14 now. Recess out of a regular session, go into public hearing at this time. We have one, Victoria Lyons is here. She's with Energy Transfer. Attending if there are any questions. Good morning.
Just thank you for considering our abandonment from 1912 for the Jury Road. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, ma'am. Hi, Bobby. Dory, anything?
Yeah, we don't.
Well, Bobby's not here today. I forgot.
Bobby's not here.
Bobby's not here. I've talked to him and talked to Brad. Brad's also here for any questions on it. Basically, this is just a piece of property. We're not gaining any taxes on it. We have no use for it. This would at least bring it into the tax roll where we get some benefit for it. We're recommending approval of this.
Brad, anything? Good morning, Brad.
Morning, Commissioners. Judge, I have nothing to add to that. It's just that this is a piece of property that by default, actually, it's an easement. So there's no appraisal needed. It will by default go back to NGL Mont Bellevue. They own both sides of the easement. It's a win for us. It goes back on the tax roll. Right now, there's nothing we can do with this piece of property. It's just a 1/10 of an acre.
Okay.
So that's our recommendation.
Thank you. All right, we are in the public hearing. Are there any public comments at this time? Pertaining to this issue? Here none, 10:15 a.m. We'll adjourn out of the public hearing. Go back into regular session and if the bottom part of 3.1 item says approved abandonment, so I will entertain a motion to. Second motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Tice. Any questions, comments? Those in favor? All right. Opposed, motion carries. We're done. Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, we can go there, man. All right. Under economic development and tourism, I know we have to focus here on senior citizens project. 5.2, discuss consider Thames County Senior Citizens Project. Master, good morning.
Hello. So as you guys know, we've been working on this for a couple weeks
And
and
we appreciate it too.
I know,
Correct.
and thank you, I appreciate that. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, an emotional roller coaster, to be 100% honest. I think Robbie and I have laughed and cried and screamed and just trying to figure out what the best solution is, although ultimately that's y'all's decision. And that's why we're here today, to kind of talk about the status of that organization and to get some official guidance from you guys on how you'd like us to move forward. The Senior Citizens Project notified us a Friday before last
that effective September 30th at 11:59 p.m., they would no longer exist. The board voted to close that organization, effectively disbanding their EIN number, closing their bank accounts once their files have been rectified, their balances have been rectified, and closing their 501c3. So we, prior to this, knew that they were in, about a week before this, we knew they were in some danger of closing. And so with your support, we started working with them and with HGAC, and Dr. Eccles is here as a representative of HGAC and as a representative of the senior citizens of the county as well. And we had some meetings, and there was a lot of back and forth on what we were going to do. But I think that I can speak for the court in saying that you guys all want to make sure that the senior citizens in Chambers County don't go without services. Now, what that looks like is up to you guys. I've had conversations with all of you and individually, very, very important distinction there, individually. And I think that all of your opinions vary on the matter, and that's okay. I have an opinion on it. I can't say that I'm not emotionally invested. And I think I told Commissioner Combs this, because at this point, we've actually been helping deliver meals. We've seen, the homes that these people live in and gotten out and knocked wasps' nests down so they didn't get stung by red wasp, and seen how they're waiting on us when we get there. And so, I will say that my recommendation is completely emotionally tainted. So I don't know that I can give you a fair evaluation. What I did try to do was give you the facts. What I know to be true is that there are 37 people currently receiving this program. The majority of those recipients are in Mid-Chambers County. There are 3 or 4 on the west side, and I believe 3 or 4 in Winnie, and the rest are in Mid-Chambers County. The vast majority are in Anahuac and Hancomer and Wallaceville. I believe 25 total participants are in those 2 areas. My girls and I have been delivering those 2 largest routes over the last week, again, with your support, which I'm very thankful for. And I know that these residents are thankful for as well. So, we kind of have looked at it a couple different ways. Like I said, we've had a lot of conversation in our office and individually with you guys about what I think it ultimately comes down to what you guys feel the county's role is in this, and that there's not a right decision and there's not a wrong decision. I've done the math on what I think it would cost the county if that was the route you wanted us to go through. That information is available in your packet, and we've also talked about it at length individually. That's just one recommendation. We have been trying to find potentially another organization that might be willing to take over. HGC did inform me that there's never been another organization apply. We have a call into Bobby, who I know is out. His daughter's having surgery. I don't know if I should be telling everybody's business.
Bobby, the family.
So he hasn't had a chance to call us back yet about whether or not he knows of an organization in Mid-County that would be able to take it over. We have a call into the Methodist Church as well. I've talked to a couple different nonprofits throughout the area and that service the area, and kind of the consensus is it's a big beast to take on. So again, I don't feel like I can make a non-invested recommendation for you guys, and y'all know how important it is for me to be transparent in everything I do. So I think you guys know my opinion, but ultimately, as I always tell you, you tell me what to do and I will do it with a smile on my face. I know we will all support in any way that we can, but that's a conversation that you guys, I think, ultimately have to, have. Oh, one important thing, before I put you on the spot like that, one thing that Commissioner Combs suggested, and it was a great idea, and so I did reach out to Curtis, to avoid having to make a rapid decision if y'all feel like that's not the route y'all want to do. HGC is amenable to allowing us to take temporarily over the meal delivery and pay out of pocket for the meals, arrange for the delivery of that for however long. I mean, my recommendation was a month. That was just kind of the number that came in my head, and give us a month to talk through and see what we wanted to do. The average cost for meals since we've been helping out has been about $506 a week. So that is an option to you guys. I know Lena has already pretty much taken on most of the transportation. But again, I've tried to give you as much information as I had available to me, with a lot of help from Dr. Eccles, from Gene Forrest and the Senior Citizens Project from HJC, so that you can make an informed decision.
I've sat on this board for 6 years, dating banks. And I mean, we had up to 70-something people on the Meals on Wheels. And so, I mean, there's room for growth there, and I think there's a lot of people that really need it, especially on the mid and east side of the county. We have, there's a lot of people countywide that really need this to continue. I mean, I remember last time when we talked about it a little bit with the sheriff, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. I mean, I think it'd be great for the deputies to deliver some of the bills as a, on their route sometimes. I mean, he was applicable to that to an extent. But I mean, we have been receiving call after call over there for transportation. We've been taking care of everybody we have been able to. We've been doing up to 10 to 15 people a day, taking them to Houston, Beaumont, and everywhere else, and passing each other with our 2 vans and the little car. And I know there's a car on there to be purchased, and I'll discuss that in a minute. But as far as the Meals on Wheels, it is a service that we need to keep going, because these people, some of this is the only food they get. I mean, I think that we're elected to help take care of these people within this county. We need to do it, and to come out of 090.
Some of them, that's their only meal of the day. And I'm like Sam, Sam had no idea when she reached out to me. There was 3 people I've been working with over the code since I've been in office, and I believe this demand and these numbers unfortunately are going to go up in 2023. I hope I'm wrong, but I think as a court, we need to consider all options to take care of these people.
And I agree. Now, is this the best route? You know, I don't know, after visiting with Landis Moss and Energy and Healthcare last night, and I don't know how that fits with having a new, these duties being divided up between Lana Yon, Robbie King. What's left for her office to do, and is it worth it? Do we need a full-time employee to do that? You know, everybody knows what it costs when you put on another employee.
Yeah.
So is that a part-time person? I think there's still some things that need to be worked out. Maybe that month you're talking about is what needs to be done, and we purchase food in the meantime, and then put everybody that's in this on the committee and come up with a solution. I mean, you got a solution, but I think there's still a lot of questions.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the commissioners and stuff. You know, it is definitely something that cannot fall through the cracks. However, my opinion of how it should be administered differs a little bit. I am not an advocate of the government doing this. You know, I think it needs to be a faith-based initiative. I think we need to be there to support it in every way we can. You know, I have personally delivered the meals. I volunteered with Meals on Wheels and got out and taken the meals out. You know, and I know what it's like. It's not just the only meal some of them get a day. Some of them keep that meal and eat it over the weekend. And also it's the only interaction that they may have with the outside, you know, some days. And you know, personally, I don't think an employee taking that person a meal is basically the same thing as a volunteer or somebody else that's doing it for their own feeling to, you know, I just think we need to give it time to find another group that wants to take it on and that will do it with the passion that it needs to be done in. I just, you know, that's my opinion. I don't want to see it fall through the cracks, and I'll do anything I can to keep it from doing that. You know, it needs to stay in place, but I think we need to take the time out instead of us just jumping in and taking it over to try to find another nonprofit, faith-based facility to take it over.
And that is an option that we absolutely have. And again, I don't think that there's a right answer here. I just, you know, I think we all have our opinions but I don't know that there's a clear-cut answer.
Yeah, and we know it's important. The county supported it for
years,
ever since I can remember.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I told Samantha this yesterday, I have a list of people that are willing to help deliver the meals. I mean, the transportation. We're gonna continue to get calls on the transportation.
But we're doing that anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The
On
ones
both sides
that
of
were.
the county.
Yeah, I think that's a separate,
Or one, two.
separate issue.
But I mean, the meals, I believe, I know Landis and them, they do all their scheduling around their appointments. I believe when they get funds available through their office, that we can shift some of the intake to Atlanta or Robbie's office and stuff like that to help if we have people that want to sign up, because it's a fairly simple step to get people signed up on this program.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
since that one pager,
yes. we
so
can-
the intake's not,
Intake's not a whole
No,
lot.
it's not.
We can shift that around to accommodate them during their busy time when their funding is. I mean, Lana does it now. So, I mean, and Robbie and them will handle it.
Yeah, I think we get some
Together
time
on
to-
that.
sorry.
No, you're good.
to sit down and define all the duties.
Yes.
I agree.
Here's what each
Yeah.
department-
And then just one last comment, because I think we're on the same consensus that we need some time here. But anything we do is for a year anyway. So say we were to say, hey, we're going to agree to do this for a year, it's 1 year and it renews annually. Your contract renews annually. So even if that was the route that we go to, I'm not saying it's the route we're going to go to, but even if it were, we would have the option next year or to work for a year to find an organization if we don't feel like that month is sufficient. So I just want to make you guys aware of that as well, that it is an annual contract that you renew. So it's not something that you do every
So
year.
it may be that we take over part of it and then you work with based organizations all across the
Mhm.
county and, you know, this is your week to deliver meals over batteries.
That's actually what they have been doing for delivery is that there's a church in Winnie that there's some ladies that split up and take 1 week a month and deliver.
Some of the other churches will do the same thing if they knew that
Yeah.
opportunities out there. Fine, so I guess right now, we need to give you, authorize you to purchase the meals.
Yeah,
next
for
4
a
weeks
date period, a month, and then we can revisit
let's
if we
do
need
it.
to.
Till the next commissioner's court.
So 2 weeks.
Okay, we do it to the next commissioner's court, but I mean, 2 weeks is kind of short.
Oh, no, 2 weeks, and I don't mean the next one, I meant a month. from
Yeah,
now.
give it a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever
Okay.
that next,
So
not the
the
next court, but the next court.
Senior
Right.
Citizens Project, so we have ordered the meals for this week. They are still in existence this week. They will be financially responsible for the meals that are ordered this week. Beginning next week is when the county would step in with your blessing, and we would become financially responsible for those meals. I've already just preemptively asked if that was something they'd be available to. I've not received a response yet, although I doubt that they won't be. And then we'll work on getting them set up as a vendor. It's a company called Trio. And then I would hope that you guys are amenable to allowing either my girls or volunteers to kind of help fill the gaps as far as delivery goes. So as long as you're cool with that and for us to help pick up, then I think that's a good plan. It buys us time and we can form some sort of committee to figure out what our more definitive options are, what organizations might be available.
Sheriff's inmate program.
Yeah, I think,
They could pick them up and bring them to y'all. or-
yeah, the trustees that might be
Yeah.
helpful to us.
Guarantee you the sheriff would be able to.
Oh,
We
yes.
do- The senior citizen projects have freezers that they store these in and everybody.
So they do, but I think that's kind of a question that's up in the air on their financial status, whether or not they'll be able to, allow us to use those or if they'll have to sell them or not. My thought was White's Park. We've got a freezer there that's not full, that has the capacity for us to put the meals in. Chambers County is the only one that uses those freezers in the back anyway, so pending some sort of county event. So I'll check with Brandy, but we could use that as kind of our hub temporarily so we don't have to invest any money.
So do we know what, if they have money left over in the checking account, where it's gonna go? It's gonna go to another, to us, to HGC, to another faith-based organization if they're.
So I don't know that they will have money left
Okay.
over. That's kind of the conversation that's been happening.
But I'm just saying, if those freezers are available and they're applicable to donate them to the county, we could utilize them.
Yeah, I think they might be. Yeah, and Jean has offered to continue delivering as well. So I just think it maybe became too much for them to run the organization on their own. And so they're by no means like, we're out.
That's what concerns me. I mean, the world we're living in now with you hate to say COVID, but everything that's just going on in the world, I mean, faith-based churches and stuff like that, and I mean, I'm getting in that age group too. We're all getting older, and I mean, people are.
Speak for yourself.
It's all getting older and health is the issue, so I mean, they hate us. Fuel prices and everything else, so it's a trying time that we're living.
I think George wanted to.
Yeah, so to clarify, we're talking about the building that's here in town, the senior citizen building behind the state building.
No, sir. So they don't, they were renting that facility
Okay,
and that facility sold to the county.
we replaced all the refrigerators in there during Harvey, so I think the county
Owns them?
insurance, yeah, I think they belong to the county. You want?
Well, let me
double
look
check.
into that. That's a very good point. Because that would certainly be helpful to us.
Okay.
So thank you for bringing that up. So these are all questions that I think we have. So today, what I just need is you guys to authorize me to make that financial commitment to Trio for the next month. $506. I'll get you the exact amount, Aaron. And allow my staff to fill in wherever gaps are needed. That way, if we're gone from the office for a day, nobody's wondering where we are.
So move.
Thank you. I know y'all look like I've felt for the past 3 weeks.
Second by Commissioner Ty. And that's approved to purchase the mill until the second court in October, correct?
Yes.
That is
And
correct.
second. All right, any other discussion?
No, one of my drivers went and delivered meals last week.
Oh.
She said she enjoyed that.
She was a saint. If she wants to do it again this
Yeah,
week, I'd
she
love
will.
that. Okay, great. She was a saint.
Yeah, actually told him to commit her to that day, the rest of the,
Good.
till further notice.
Thank you. And then, I don't know if any other employee would be willing or if you guys would be okay with that. I mean, I don't have an issue if somebody wants to rotate in and take care of the hand
Step
cover
out.
route. Yeah.
I'll put that out to. the
Yeah. If
county.
you guys are amenable, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
Put it out.
Okay. Yeah.
It'd be up to their boss to allow them. to.
Yeah. We don't mind, but we'd like the help too.
Okay, we'll get you in contact with the lady.
Yes, please do.
Danny's shaking her head up now. I think she wants to. Right?
Actually,
So-
it's good. It
is.
really is.
It's
Awesome
fulfilling.
Program. So we need to find Billy Reese because he was one of the volunteers delivering those meals. And so he's pretty passionate about that.
I think that the west side and the east side people are still committed. I think they're
Right.
willing to. So I'll talk to Billy, and then Bobby Ballia was the other one on the west side that were both really passionate about it. And so I'm hopeful that those who are already committed to delivering that Anahuac and Handcomer route are the challenge. And they were the challenge when Senior Citizens Project was doing it. They're just such a big route. Now, realistically, once you learn where the houses are, it takes about an hour to do each one.
Right.
The first time we did, it took us 4 hours because the houses are kind of in nooks and crannies and we backtracked but the second time we got it down to about an hour and 15. So
So Jamie just texted me and said she wants to help out.
good. We need you.
There you go.
All right. And I'll guarantee you there's more than 37
I agree.
houses and residents in Chambers County that need the program.
I agree.
So
And
the program needs to grow.
I mean, at one point there were 76 residents on it. So I would just hope that eventually whatever path we take, we can grow that and make sure that all of our residents are taken care of.
For sure.
All right,
Thank
got a
you,
motion
Sam.
and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 10:35, we're gonna take a 10-minute.
Lord.
Welcome to order 10:49 after recess. I think we're down to 3.7 on the first page.
Oh, you don't want me to come back up?
Just hang there, I won't take a minute. Discuss and consider approving FM 1409 change order number 4, revision to to Texas Material Group Incorporated, DBA Gulf Coast for additional traffic control amount of $32,995.85. Sorry.
Okay, so thank you. That change order has already been approved. When they came back with the actual justification on their questions, we had some, they couldn't come up with some of the documentation, so it actually lowered it down to this amount. So this is just more of a revision update and a savings to the county. So just asking you to approve that.
Entertained motion, so moved. Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Gore. Question.
I was gonna call you about that and I ran out of time, but I thought we'd already approved that. We had passed, so, okay.
One was 38,341.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
Very good.
All right, any other questions? Those in favor? Opposed, motion carried. 3.8, discuss and consider approving Animal Transport variance request to go from 50% pump to 100%.
Okay, so this item, I've talked to Billy about, and talked to Road and Bridge. This property is located north of I-10. It generally slopes back away from I-10. It's surrounded, it does have some utility situations. They have basically said it's just a huge cost to be able to try to come up with something to meet this requirement. So they're asking to just totally waive it. So in talking with Natalie a little bit about it, you know, I guess there are some things that could be done. It would be pretty expensive. We had, I believe it was an alligator farm over on the east side that developed about a year and a half ago, and they actually brought in fill for the whole property and just brought it up so that they could create positive flow and then have their detention within that fill. You know, so essentially it looks like there's about 18 inches of fall back. So you'd have to build it up about maybe like 2 feet into the back of the property, you know, to nothing coming up to I-10. That's the only other way around it that I see. I mean, even a siphon, I don't believe they did discuss a siphon and look at it, but didn't feel like it would work because it's going to push it the wrong way. Somehow you're going to end up with the pump situation. I mean, you could also, require like a, extra large detention pond or exceeding the standard somewhat. But anyway, their request at this point is just simply a variance. Anyway, further discussion.
Are you recommending it, Corey? I mean,
well, talking to Billy, I think the concern that I want to kind of discuss with the court is precedent. And are we opening ourselves up to a situation? Because I think there's probably a lot of situations like this. It is something that we've had. We just created this 50% pump item, last year, and it was protecting, surrounding properties. And so there is a concern that opening this up does set a precedent. So not to say that I don't understand their issue and the cost associated with it. Just to be honest, I don't know entirely what is fair. Like I said, we changed the requirement last year because of surrounding neighbors, and it's the same thing. If this floods, once the pond fills up, it's just going to go around to surrounding properties. So it would have an effect. It just, And maybe that's the thing. Maybe we could ask them to do, go above and beyond something. It's what I would kind of like to see, but it's. What y'all's thoughts?
I told you mine. I mean, mine is, if we're going to do this for one, then we're going to have a lot. We're going to be doing it over and over again. And, I just think that's something the court needs to decide is, are we 100% firm on our 50%, gravity flow, 50% pump? Or, I mean, we just adopted that last year, or well, maybe year before last. It's been the last
Couple years.
yeah, but I'm just pointing out, if we do it, we are setting precedents, and there are many. I mean, I've seen several places that are very, very difficult to drain, and they want to go pump.
So how do they get around it? Or these people, how do they get around it if you don't approve variance? I mean, I don't know. I'm not-
Well, you could, I mean, you could, if you're getting away, the only way to do away with the pumped completely, it would be to build the property up. You'd have to bring in, like I said, enough fill to change the slope of your property back towards the location that you're desiring to take it to, which would be the interstate.
Either bring in fill or dig a deep wet pond that you leave and get a lot of dirt out of it.
Well, you could, so you
Yeah.
could create a larger pond and fill that back in the backside of the property and bring it forward, maybe a combination of such. And it might take some additional fill. I don't know, even beyond that, but yeah, you could oversize the pond to exceed our standards on, the amount that's detained. I don't know. I do agree with Billy that it's a little bit problematic when you just say it's too expensive to meet the standard. And so for that reason, because it is possible to do it, it's just a matter of the cost.
Can they do 70%?
Well, at this point, they can't do any because the property slopes the wrong direction. So it's
Without them building the property.
right. I mean, I suppose you could put something in the front. I mean, you're going to have to build the property up in the back. I mean, they could put the property in the back, put the pond in the front. If they put the pond in the front where they get something to that point, then certainly there could be free flow where you put your weir or your dam structure. Well, you'd have your overflow there, your weir going into the I-10 ditch.
I don't know. We've had other developers face similar situations.
And what we do? Stay stuck with the 50?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we
I
need.
don't know.
So we'll go back to them and negotiate. And I mean, if there's just really not something, then we can bring it back again. But
So you want to table it, use the time to negotiate?
yes,
Yeah.
All right. All right, back to 3.6. Commissioner Hammond pointed out that skipped it, discuss and consider additional funds to complete the current Scoville Parkway.
okay, on this one, so with the approval of 3.5, I think, and George's office and Natalie worked together on the existing. We had pulled some original money out of 381 to start this. So there was a concern about item 3.9. The budget is tight, but I believe with where we're at this point, we're still in the green.
So you want to pull 3.6?
I believe so.
And might add, we've got some other money that should be coming back in. It's gonna be reimbursements on Kilgore.
Right.
Okay, 3.9, discuss consider approving 130,000 to convert the existing illumination to LED along Kilgore Parkway and to add additional illumination at SH 99 Needle Point intersection.
And this is an estimate to move forward that we'll have to take to the contractor. But we believe that this is a good item. So 40,000 of this would be to convert our existing lighting to LEDs, which we would basically gain that back just in power usage over a short period of time. They really do draw much less. And then the 90,000 would be for adding safety lighting there at the Needle Point intersection, which with the additional, cross traffic and everything that's going to be happening there, dark at night, all the large trucks. I do think that's a good idea. So,
Hey, Corey, Mike reminded me of something a minute ago. And I don't know why you and I didn't think about it before. At one point, we were trying to give all those lights on Kilgore Parkway over to Center Point
yes, sir.
and let them take them over. And anyhow, it didn't happen
Well,
for
that was-
various reasons. But I think that might be something we want to look at now, because we're having to maintain those things and we're not really geared up to do it. And we could even talk to Center Point about what it would, because they were going to convert to LEDs
Right.
as a part of their proposal.
Well, so this all came down, this is a Nathan discussion because Nathan told us we couldn't do it.
No, actually, it wasn't Nathan that told us we couldn't do it. It was
Oh,
Peel.
Scott Peel. Okay,
It
well,
was
legal
And-
had told us we couldn't do it. So,
Well, he told us we had to bid it
right.
because we're giving away.
But you can't bid that. There's only one
No,
provider.
I know. I'd honestly like to get a second legal opinion on that.
Okay.
So you want to table it?
Yes.
All right.
All right, we will table 3.9. I gotta step out and do a juvenile hearing, so Commissioner Gore, there you go. First page is all done.
Question on that, Corey, before we get too far away from it. So isn't that the entrance to Baytown Heights or
No.
that Kilgore? Chambers Parkway,
Mm-mm.
or are we talking about? more
Two different roads.
This is only Kilgore at Needle Point. So I think you're thinking of what we used to refer to as
Kilgore and Needle Point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that intersection does need to be lit. I don't think there's any question, but I think we, yeah, I think we need to actually look at maybe getting Center Point, because they would have put the poles up themselves. They would have done all of it.
And just to clarify, what do we get the second opinion on?
So we're getting a second opinion on whether or not Center Point can take over these lights. And so if they can, what would be the cost for them to do this themselves versus having the contractor do it for county maintenance?
And then the county property, that was the.
Right. And so there would be a fee associated that we would pay annually for the maintenance of those lights. If Center Point does it.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they charge us per light. Just a fee.
Yeah, we had a
They
proposal.
do.
We actually had a proposal
Right.
that came in from Center Point. And George, what happened? We went out to Center Point to get a proposal for them to take over the lights that are on Kilgore Parkway. Practically none of them were actually working. And they had to actually fix them and bring them online and, and convert them over to LEDs and they would actually own them. We were going to give them. And therein lied the problem that, that Mr. Peel felt was an issue, because we were going to actually give them county property. Or, and he said in order to do that, he didn't say we couldn't do it, but he said we had to go out for bids to do it. Because we could not dispose of county property without doing it the proper way. And so maybe we need to do that, but we are not geared up. And I know Mike and everybody would tell you, we are not geared up to maintain lights. We don't have the equipment, we don't have personnel, and it, in the long run, cost us more money to do it than it would be if we just let Center Point take them over and operate.
So
Especially if we're going to a 4-lane all the way down. Because there's some major traffic on that road.
So the other thing I'm thinking about, in the HOAs, we have lighting in there that belongs to the HOA. We already have an agreement with Southwinds. If it ends up in an issue, maybe we could come through with an agreement with Southwinds that's part of the maintenance agreement that somehow we work out with them.
Well, I said, we already had a proposal from Center Point.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it was for less money than we can do it for,
Right.
it's just.
Okay, well, I'll talk to them this week and see if we can't get that pinned down. So, all right.
Let's go ahead and get a second opinion on that, I guess, through Nathan, and move forward with that. But yeah, we don't need to be in the light business.
No.
Okay, we're gonna move down to economic development and tourism, 5.1, discuss and consider authorizing update scope of work for airport road feasibility study to add the cost estimation for potential spring 2023 bond project. Samantha?
So first, I want to talk to, I want to make sure George is okay with this before we proceed. Basically, what Mike has been working on is getting, looking into getting some prices for the potential bond that we're looking at doing potentially in next year. And in order to do that, you got to pay somebody to do it. And so we kind of had some conversations, and George, I apologize, I didn't loop you into this sooner. Obviously, I've been living in a whirlwind. But we kind of felt like PBK was the natural choice because we already have a contract with them for the airport road feasibility study. Some of the projects that we're looking at are adjacent to Airport Road. They actually did the plans for 2 of the buildings that we're modeling potential projects after. It's going to cost us an additional, Mike, 15,000, I think. So are you okay with us amending?
That's fine, but the money coming from
ARPA. Yeah. So,
That was my issue.
yes. So anyway, the point of this is to save the county money. We've already got a contract. We don't have to go out and re-procure. There was a law passed last year, I believe, that when you can't quote out architecture and engineering anymore, you have to go through the procurement process, which is expensive and takes time. Again, we already have a contract in place, and they're just pricing out what we think that would cost us if we go to bond on those things. So assuming you're amenable, that is what we have presented.
Anybody have any questions for Samantha?
How happy are we with PPK?
Mixed opinions.
I'm happy with it. PDK does a lot. Now, they're like every other architect or engineer in my opinion. I mean, there's no perfect architect or engineer.
As far as
Perfect contract.
as far as procurement goes, Billy, it's about time to start, going out there for another RFQ for some of this type of service. They're 4 years in, and it's about that time frame that we start looking 3 to 5 years to try and just make sure that we've got the best service and make sure they know that we're not, I don't want anyone getting complacent. We're going to keep trying to get the best deal. So it is about that time. Now, is it on this project? Probably not. We keep going on this one and go for the next, and we
So-
just do a general RFQ to go out for architectural services.
So this is just to clarify, because it's a very good question. And I know George and I, we literally had this conversation last week. We've worked really hard to get more architects and engineers interested, because when I started, nobody even wanted to work with us. And so I know his office has worked hard. We've worked hard. This is just allowing them to price those projects out. And when it's time to complete those projects, we would have to legally go through the RFP process.
So you can bring us the difference in. We put out the master plan. We put it out, and we had one company that was over $100,000. I mean, they were what, $120,000, something like that?
Yeah.
PDK was 50,
Yeah, no, 22.
22.
Yeah.
So
So price
I'm just
wise,
saying, yeah, y'all, we can get other people. No, I don't have a problem with that at all.
for this, I feel like they're sufficient to answer your question. Y'all's opinion moving forward, I never see an issue with bringing new blood in. I think it's always great.
Just want to make sure it's the right blood.
Keeps them honest.
Oh, I agree. Hey, I have a whole crew. I have 4 or 5 that I work with that I rotate through on mine. So making sure we get the right fit for every single project is the trick there.
Anyone else have any questions, comments?
No.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond. Second. Second by Commissioner Tice. No further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We'll move down to 5.3, discuss and consider purchasing a new gravel oil for precinct 1, transportation service for senior citizens using health service fund. I had this here put on there. The one we have now, the 2007, it was in the shop the other day. We had some work done to it. The motor's using oil. They told us we didn't keep an eye on it, it was gonna be burned up, but they said it needed to be replaced. A used motor with less mileage was $8,000. The vehicle is a 2007, it's not valued at $8,000. So, and we use it extensively. We have the 2 vans plus this here. And we have a lot of people in areas that we go, we cannot get into in the tall van that we have to take people to. So it is used extensively. And with the senior citizen project closing their doors, we have been bombarded with more people. I know, so we really need a vehicle, especially if we pick up the part-time drivers from them. George got us a quote from Silsby, and we got one from Philpott. I think they were in the deal. Philpott can have it in 2 weeks. And if we approve this today, they'll stick our tag on the car. And then we'll, the RAV4 we have now will be brought back to use around the courthouse. And that's why I told Marina that they'd have to put a sticker in it to make sure and check the oil.
Well, that brings up a question for the west side, because I didn't know we could just get a vehicle this easy. So I'm having to beg and borrow every week to get another vehicle over there to use. So I got one right now. I got to turn back in Friday, so I'm gonna be back down to 1 vehicle
Well,
come next Monday. So I'm not against it all. You get another vehicle.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, if you need one like that, you need it on a constant basis. That's reason, I mean, we could have purchased 2. I mean, and
Yeah, I
Phil,
mean, that's-
put it on next court and we'll go there out and George
That's
has the
possible
quote.
to do
for
that.
Silsby. So, I mean, anyone has any other questions?
Is a RAV4 a good vehicle for doing that?
For what we're doing, it's just at the right height for the people that are needing it to get in and out of easily. And we. will put-
Lana's done some extensive research because when she asked me to put it on there for her, she was telling me that if you research the best vehicle for senior citizens to get in and out of, it's on the top of the list consistently. And I mean, that one's a 2007 and they're just having issues with it. She said that there's enough leg room and enough trunk room for if they have a cane or a walker. And so she felt like it was the best choice.
And she can check and see if Philpott can get another one in within a short amount of time. Because I mean, they were very.
So there's the issue, Commissioner Hammond. We have one that Philpott has on the lot. And if y'all approve that, we can have that one tomorrow. Silsby doesn't know his delivery.
Well,
Okay,
Understand.
but we can talk to Philpott about a second one.
Well, Philpott does have a used one on the lot, and I say used has 5,000 miles, but it's loaded. And you can get it for a little bit more than this. I mean, this is ready to go.
Is that the second one here at 2021
Yes, sir.
for 36?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
sir.
looking at 36, so I mean, if you're in need of one, they could get you one, they could turn you into that one there.
Just to remind the court, the only issue is that we're asking for one today.
Yeah, no,
Correct.
no.
Just
we
making
just
sure,
have
okay.
to-
We're gonna continue on with that, but
So anyway, entertain a motion.
so much.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Class, no further discussion. All
Can we
in
do your
favor?
item for next one?
All right.
Your item.
Okay, any opposed, motion carries. We'll move to 5.4, discuss. Ma'am?
30,000.
Yes.
30,819.29.
Tax title and license.
Okay, we'll go 5.4, discuss consider allocation of $46,196.56 from ARPA to assist with funding of proposed Chambers County equipment storage building. Samantha.
So Mike and Kirk came to me a couple weeks ago about a project that they're working on with George. That has an overage in what's budgeted versus what the actual cost is going to be. It's the construction of a storage facility for parks equipment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and that is also item 7.4.
So we talked about, initially Kirk came to me to talk about the possibility of using hot funds. I think that's just too much of a stretch to try to say, well, these lawnmowers mow the park. So I think if the court wanted to fund that through an alternative funding method, ARPA would be the way to do that. So I went ahead and put it on the agenda for you guys to consider.
I think.
just,
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
just so you know, that under capital for 2022, there was $95,000. This ARPA will make up the the difference to the bid amount of 141.
Okay, so the
30%.
okay, so 46, 196, 56 is already included in the 141, 196, 56.
Correct.
Okay.
This is just,
You. Motion by Commissioner Hammond. Second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Tice, when steel prices coming down.
You told us a couple of quarters.
Yeah,
ago
you
it's
told
gonna
me
come down.
it did come down 10% from 40, about 44 to about 34, so, but nothing else has changed.
oh,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. Samantha, is that all you had?
I think so. I have
Anything on
some consent, I have some consent stuff, but
Anybody
it's
have
pretty
any questions for
self-explanatory.
Samantha on consent items.
I had the Beach City Interlocal for the Water Development Board, which is straightforward. Pretty much matches all of the other ones. And the only reason that I haven't passed it through court yet is because we were kind of in a back and forth with Water Development Board on if some changes need to be made or not. And anyway, they decided it was perfect as it is. So Beach City's already approved it. You guys have that just for your review and transparency with the public as always. Go ahead.
I did have a question. for
Sure.
you on that. And it had to do with, where are we on the, solid waste on the expansion of the landfill?
So we have selected our contractor for that. We did that at the last meeting of Commissioners Court. There was some land clearing and grubbing that solid waste needed to do. They've taken care of that, to my understanding. That's done now. They had some points that needed to be shot through our survey crew. And I think that they're working on those if they haven't already completed it. So, I mean, we're rocking and rolling.
So I know we're awarded it and they're ready to mobilize.
They're ready. Yeah, so what we've just been waiting on is getting, like I said, solid waste to get all that done, and I think that they've taken care of it. So here in the next week or two, we'll go ahead and mobilize and start rocking on it.
All right. The other thing is I want to say kudos to Beach City for stepping up, a small city.
Absolutely.
And I would like to encourage a couple other small cities we got in Chambers County to do the same thing.
Yeah, that Beach City's always wonderful to work with. So.
Billy taught him right.
Well, we're poaching another one from them,
That's
so
right. 3 in a row.
hopefully y'all continue teaching them.
3
right.
in a row, man. Got a dynasty going there.
That's right. That's all I have. So, I mean, if you have any other questions, you know to call me. I'm always around doing something, meddling in somebody's business. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Same thing.
Oh, I'm back.
I know in the senior citizen deal, I want to go back up for them, and I forgot to ask this a while ago. It was on the senior citizen deal,
What's about the bus?
is one's about the bus, two's about the salaries and the part-time driver. Because I'm in desperate need of a part-time driver over there. Are we approving that, or are we approving the increased Atlanta and Robbie to help deal?
No, it's a part of the motion. It was simply to
Yes.
fund it for another month and then come back and look at that. It did not include
No,
any infrastructure or any of that stuff.
So the bus driver, I need to let her know just to hold pat because she's been calling me. Okay. All right, we can do it. And then the van, you said, Samantha, I'll do an update on that.
Oh, yeah. So they do have a van, that's my fault for not talking about it earlier. Or it's a bus that we helped purchase. We paid for about a third of it. The rest was funded through, not through the HGAC reimbursement, but through an outside grant that they got. The last I spoke with them, and I don't think that anything has changed, what they would plan to do is donate that vehicle to the county to use for these services. It's very nice, brand new. We bought it, and I think that they've had some issues, so it hasn't been used very much. 12 passengers, that ring a bell?
Yeah.
12 passenger with a lift. The issue with that, and so I don't want to say this is for sure going to happen. They do have some outstanding debt that they're working with HGAC to get reimbursed so that they can cover that debt. There is always a possibility if they don't get enough reimbursement, they can't cover that debt. That is their only real property, with the exception of the freezers. I hate to say, yeah, they're absolutely going to give it to us and then something happened and that gets garnished to repay those debts. But, I'd say 85-90% chance they donate that bus. So that may be a solution for you as well on the
Yeah,
west
so
side.
I'm just thinking that might be,
Yeah, and it's a very, very nice vehicle.
they're buying another one.
Yep. So I can try to get a more definitive answer. I do know that they submitted reimbursement for June, July, and August. So hopefully that'll be enough to cover, but I can talk with them and see and make sure they're still amenable to that. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Things do
Also, maybe
change.
if we, if they're willing to donate the van to the county, then maybe we could help out with
The debt.
that debt that they have.
Yep, I'll let them know that that's a possibility, but if we can get a final number on it, I'm hopeful that the reimbursement will cover that, and so they'll be able to, move on free and clear, but it is always something to think about. If there's outstanding debt, things can be garnished, real property, so. Alrighty,
Thank you, ma'am.
okay, thanks.
All right, just for the record, Judge Sylvia is down. We'll go down to Parks and Recreation 6.1 to discuss and consider interlocal agreement between Chambers County and the city of Anarak regarding splash pad water and landfill fees. Who was taking this?
That was brought back from last month. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Tice. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor? Any opposed, motion carries. All right. We do appreciate the city working with us on the water rates. Look forward to.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move down to maintenance and building, 7.1, discuss, consider renewing the technical service agreement for buildings automation system maintenance services with Climatech in the amount of $13,877. Mike?
And this is just a yearly, cost. This cost went up about $3,000. It was 10,000 something, but we added the library in Winnie and we added the health services building. So we've added 2 buildings since then. I'm in the process of putting controls on Goss Library. So, I mean, it's basically just the yearly maintenance.
Contract.
Right.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Combs. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to 7.2. Discuss and consider Anahuac Airport office remodel from Tippett Construction LLC in the amount of $24,650 paid for by the grant.
So
Motion by Commissioner Tice, second.
Second.
Mr. Hammond, okay, and Mike, you want to?
no, this was just some more grant money that they had, so.
Okay.
No, that's 50% grant money, right?
50%, yeah.
No, this is 100% grant money. She had some 100% grant money, so.
They got some ARPA and some CARES money. Not ARPA,
okay.
they got CARES money coming in about 22,000, and then they got some other money coming in too, around 10, somewhere in there, so.
Okay. I thought it was 50%.
Yeah, the ramp grant is through TechDOT, is it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and this isn't the 50%. This is my understanding, 100% grant money that we just spent.
Mike is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So is this a separate item or is this a continuation of the repairs that's have been being made over there?
We put a new skin on the building and we were with the windows, but it took the windows a long time to come in. The windows finally came in, we were in doing the windows and she all of a sudden said, hey, look, I've got this grant money. Can we do a couple of more things? So we went out, got a couple of quotes to get this grant money spent.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. We'll go to 7.3. Discuss and consider Cook Fields Complex change order number 1 from NNT Construction for drainage permit changes, permit fees and bleacher changes in the amount of $61,196.33.
This is just, we bid this job in May. We were $1.5 million over budget from what we spent in Anahuac. From May, we did the value engineering to try to get the money down on it. In the meantime, they brought in a new drainage manual that y'all approved in June. That drainage manual then required us to do some extra stuff, so. It's just, I guess, bringing it up to date.
Okay. Do we have these funds here? Okay. I'll entertain a motion. Kyle, second.
Second.
Brandon, any further discussion?
Yeah, where's the funds coming from? So it's coming off a different project.
So, we had to move some money from EW4 project to the big park project.
At EW4, I'll be about empty, huh?
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed, motion carries. 7.4, discuss, consider approving HKR Ranches LLC bid to build the Parks Department storage building in amount of $141,196.56.
This is the one where we had $95,000 in capital, and we brought in the $46,000 worth of ARPA to make it work.
Move for approval. Second. Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Tice. Any further discussion?
Just a question. How is he was over half of two of the bids and 80,000 under the other bid. Curious how that is.
After last court, we put it on hold. I went back to him as early as yesterday and said, "Are you sure about this price?" And he said, yes, he was sure about this price. So I brought it back and I gave him, so I would say that, to be fair, since we put it off the last court, I gave him a chance to make sure his price was good. He said it was good.
Most of the work he's done for us, Commissioner Hammond, he has been well below the low bidder he is, if he has done quality work.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'm not questioning that at all. I'm just, that's some crazy numbers.
Yes, sir.
We had two bids at 300,000.
Yes.
No, I saw
I
that.
talked to him personally.
That just means, we're able to get some new blood in the game to get us a reasonable bid.
Maybe so.
We'll just have to wait for change orders. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move down to safety and emergency management and EMS. 10.1, discuss and consider changes to the funding agreement with Chambers County Fire Department for 2020.
Afternoon, so after last quarter, when we voted to increase the budget to $100,000, the proposed increase the budget to $100,000 for fire department. Two recommendations were made by the court were to require the fire departments to do an independent audit and also change the wording to where the fire departments and EMS would have to abide and have their meetings abide by the Texas Open Meetings Act. So we changed the language in the funding agreement for that. The first change was on page 2, paragraph 4, basically just says they agreed to provide an independent annual audit by May 31st for review by the court, by the county. And then the date was to give them time to turn that in. If the court decides to do biannual funding is what that's for. If they decide to do annual funding, we can adjust that date accordingly. I think Mount Bellevue and Mount Bellevue and the ESD are required to have them in by August. So, but we weren't just based on conversations we weren't sure on how we were going to do the funding. That's why the date's the 31st. We can change it to accordingly as needed. And then the other change was agrees to conduct all meetings in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act on page 3. And those are the only two changes made to the funding agreement.
The only one I had a little bit in that, I discussed, it, we only one I had a little bit of concern was just our smaller departments over here, the one-time year funding works
Yes, sir.
better for them. Personally, I'd like to see us just stay to that. I mean, that way we get it done and then we set it when the audit is due and they need to get it turned in.
Correct. And then the language within the funding agreement that's always been there says the county has a purview of providing an annual payment, semi-annual, quarterly, or monthly payments depending on individual departments. So the language is there. So whatever the court decides is what I'll put in the funding packets and what will go out next week.
The only question I've got is not to do with either one of those changes, but where notices were to be sent to emergency services, and it used to be to the county judge at the courthouse. What's the reasoning for making that change?
I didn't realize that change was made, so I have to go back and correct that. I think it was mainly just address wise to make sure there was some confusion this year. Some of the departments brought them back here, some of them brought them to the auditor's office, and some of them brought them to me. They have to come to me to go to the auditor's office before they can come through commissioner's court and get approved by the judge. But I can adjust that language. I think it was more of a mark out, like the NY volunteer fire department underneath it. It was more of supposed to be a cross out, not necessarily a.
Okay.
So the Fire and Rescue Association has asked that they have opportunity to review the funding agreement before we approve it. So I wasn't aware that that was negotiable. So not that I'm advocating for this, I'm just being fair to him that he asked.
Well, I think most of the funding agreements are identical the same, except for those two items, Open Meetings Act, which we wanted to go to because we're funding the funds, and then once a year, twice a year, which I want to say was once a year. So whatever court wants to do, you want to table it, we can table it and bring it back in next court. I mean, that's up to y'all.
I'm not in favor of tabling it. I mean, I don't know that they have any negotiating power.
They can make, they have an option to make recommendations with commissioners and the judge through my office like they always do. That's in the emergency service guidelines.
Right.
But ultimately it's the county's policy on how we manage the funding and how we manage the emergency response within the county. So, I mean, we did go through the association to make most of these changes. They had multiple meetings on the emergency services guidelines, and the language and the stuff that they recommended was added into the emergency service guidelines per their request. So, the only thing it does is delay me getting their funding packets out, which delays them getting them in to get them run through court, which can potentially delay them getting their money in January.
Which bottom line makes them more accountable.
Correct.
So then
What's your motion?
our motion is to accept the changes that Ron and put in the new.
You want to, okay, you want to go funding once a year or twice a year?
Once a year.
Once a year funding, and then stay with it. You need a pen, Ron?
I'm good. I got it.
Okay, so your motion is to stay with the once a year funding
Correct.
and enter into the Open Meetings Act. And then what else do you have, Ron?
And then the only question is on the independent audit, do you want to change that to meet the statutory requirements like the SD to August 31st?
I think we'll do that. That'll all the same.
Okay. And I'll change that language on the back end as well.
And you concur.
Yes.
And you're also gonna make it address, go back to the courthouse to the judge.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a second?
I've got that marked down.
Second.
Where's the second back in your hand? All right. So make those changes and then send us a copy if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 10.2, discuss and consider changes to funding agreement with Winnie Stowe EMS for 2023.
This is the same changes that we made to the volunteer funding agreement with the, I'll change the dates with those stipulations that we made on the previous agenda. Actually, there's not even a reason to do that. The question I have, I mean, I'm still good, same thing with Winnie, leave it for August 31st. Perfect. So that there's that one I didn't put the date on, so that was a mistake on my part. But other than that, the changes are the same.
Okay, make sure and send over a copy of the Open Meetings Act and how it is supposed to be
I'll
followed.
add that, that I'm adding that as an exhibit 4 within the entire packet.
Okay, and send it to each department. And, okay, so they, all right, entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, seconded by
One second.
Commissioner Combs. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. 10.3. Discuss, consider changing to emergency services guidelines.
So the emergency service guidelines go to each department, to all fire and EMS services in the county, and Chambers County EMS, obviously. And these are basically to explain the chain of command, explain their general response guidelines, what radio channels to use. That's what they're designed for. So we made a few language changes in there, just based on some conversation with the sheriff and with other departments with some issues that we had. We made small language changes or highlighted in yellow. The first one on page 6, calls for service, fire and EMS departments may not self-dispatch to calls. That language was already in there. We just highlighted it and underlined it, so there is no question anymore. Because we've had departments within the county that are just randomly responding to calls. Nobody knows they're coming. That's a safety issue for that department member as well as everybody else on scene in the community that they're driving through when nobody knows they're even coming. So that was the first change that was made. The second change is on section I on page 8. This was a recommendation by the Chambers County Fire Rescue Association that we had with dispatch, negotiation with dispatch with the Sheriff's Department. And that changes that usually when they respond to a fire scene, the fire service will designate a ES channel or a secondary channel to operate that scene off of. We've had an issue where 2 instances be going on at the same time and both departments are trying to use the same ES channel, which defeats the purpose. So now that we've changed the language to where the dispatch will actually assign that ES channel to whoever the command is on scene, so that dispatch can also keep track of who's using what channels at what time and make it a little bit easier, especially with the call volume steadily increases within county. The next one is disregarding units. With the exception of Winnie Fire Department, the only department in the county that has a first responder organization with certified people operating under medical director is Winnie Fire Department. So we added language in there to where fire is not authorized to disregard an EMS agency, because that is a huge liability for the EMS service, both Mount Winnie and myself. If they disregard me, that means they're responsible for patient care. Well, if you're not certified, how can you be responsible for patient care? So we added that language in there too, to where that kind of alleviates that confusion. That way the medics actually have to do a assessment on the patient. And then the only other change in there was on section H for the audit. I'm gonna adjust that date. That date says May 31st because I was matching the funding agreement, so I'll get that corrected. And then on page 13, the volunteer fire vet grant funding program guidelines, there was never any program guidelines for the VFD funding. We had them for the EMS side of it, which is on the previous page. So I basically just copied that and changed the language to fire departments to where they have the same program guidelines as far as how they're spending their funds and stuff like that to alleviate some of the questions. And those were the only changes that were made to the emergency service guidelines. Outside of the appendix, all of that legislative language changed on September of this year, actually. So we put all of those changes on the appendix for the transportation code on how they can respond to calls, emergency traffic, what they're covered for, what they're not covered for, how their lights have to be. I put all that language in there as well.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Price. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, Ron.
Motion
Good job.
carried.
Thank you, Ron.
Go down to communication and technology, 11.1. Discuss and consider accepting a revised agreement monthly cost between Chambers County and Rise Broadband to expand equipment usage on the Beach City radio tower site. Quentin.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
So for the past couple months, I've been working with purchasing, our county attorney. Commissioner Combs have been involved a little bit. So Rise is our current company that provides broadband to some of the residents that cannot have fiber or copper services for internet usage. Beach City Tower, with all the industrial growing around it, it's becoming pretty popular for connections. So they're requiring to put more equipment on the tower. We were advised to kind of look over the contract, review it. We changed some of the verbiage up in the contract, just some minor stuff, but mainly the cost, increasing the cost for the adjustment of equipment coming up on the tower. looking at the equipment they spec'd out, I estimated about $550 would be a fair price. However, we're here at work today to let the commissioners decide that.
Anyone have any questions, comments for Quentin?
Let George weigh in on it.
Just letting you know that Rise does have about 100 houses they take care of in Beach City.
Okay.
I did talk to Commissioner Combs and the mayor, the new mayor or incoming commissioner. And I mean, they weren't, or the new mayor wasn't as happy with Rise as maybe Commissioner Combs was, and I don't even know if he was. But at the end of the day, they do supply a service to your taxpayers on that side, about 100 households. We're gonna double the amount that they pay. They pay $200 a month. They're gonna go to $550. They can go more if you want. We have one company on there that's paying almost $2,000 a month to have the honor of having their equipment on our tower. But this is a service to the public, where the other company is a service to themselves.
Okay.
Just let y'all know. Okay.
Thanks, George.
And if Billy, if you have anything to add to that, I mean.
No, you wrapped it up. I mean, Rise has been on it for a very long time.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And they're just simply adding new equipment and expanding. And my only question is, I remember back when we did go out last time and we added some more equipment to it, that there was at least some talk about making sure from an engineering standpoint as to wind loading and other loading on there, that we're not gonna be stressing the tower. Are we anywhere close to that?
With the current equipment they're gonna add on, we do not require structural analysis, but anything after that, we will have to. And I have vendors that I've reached out to prepare for that. So,
This is it. This is the end of without having to do something as Quentin just pointed out.
Okay.
And our legal department and their legal department worked very well together. It took about a month to get this together, but the verbiage is good. It's good, conducive for the county as it is for Rise.
Is this a yearly contract?
It's
That's
automatic, yeah, yearly and automatically, but we have a 30-day, 60-day, 60-day that we could get out of it or vice versa.
Okay, with our new software that will, actually, this will be added into that for the contracts.
Absolutely.
Okay, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know who you need to get it to or who.
We've already taken care of that.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, entertain a motion.
So
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Hammond. Further discussion here.
Quick question, where we at on the tire at the landfill?
we're moving forward. I just had a soil sample study done, so if I get it out to our bidders so they can give me 100% quote on what type of concrete they're gonna be using. I did run into a little confusion. The cell that's going in at the solid waste we might have some issues. I went out there and took some measurements yesterday. I'm gonna get with solid waste and whatever contractor is gonna be doing the cell, see if we can maybe meet on location.
Okay.
I think we'll be able to make it work, but it's definitely gonna be close, so. But as far as that, everything's moving forward, yes, sir.
Thank you, Clinton.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carried. I think we're gonna go down to 18.1 personnel, discuss, consider policy for driving county vehicles outside of Chambers County. Army.
So there's been quite a bit of discussion the last couple of months about vehicles going out of the county, so, and that's been like random people just finding vehicles and taking them home, a little bit. So I talked to Chelsea, she already had plans, with the HR director from TAC to rewrite that policy, this year. And have it ready for the first of next year, but I think just with the situation we have right now, elevated cost in fuel and just wear and tear on the vehicles and stuff, so just trying to rein that in. So I think for right now that we need to stop all vehicles leaving the county.
why don't we say 5 miles? Is that just an arbitrary number?
Yeah, I think so. That's seems to be standard in a lot of places, so just a little bit of buffer. So, I mean, we can make it 0 miles. It doesn't make me.
I mean, the sheriff's already adopted that policy and
Yeah.
is requiring his deputies.
I think, following contingent on that, I think that's if you're not on call. And that's was part of your discussion that you and I had.
Yeah, and the majority of people are not on call, so there's a couple that we need to
There's a few.
discuss.
A few.
But I think as for the now, to just stop all of it, and then we'll go back and look at those cases individually and make a determination.
Okay, so, let me get an entertain a motion on it.
So moved.
Commissioner Hammond, and your motion is for it to be effective immediately?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the motion. I don't mind. The motion is to approve it, just like it's written right here. Stop all vehicles from going outside the county, more than 5 miles outside the county.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Second,
Okay. Do we get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I would like to make a comment though.
Okay.
We've already, as far as doing the cleaning and stuff on the buildings, we quit paying mileage for people that's living outside the county. We'll pay the mileage once they come into the county from there. So we need to expand on that and make sure that we're not discriminating, that we're doing that on all of them.
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah, can I ask a question, just for clarification? I'll fill the public comment form.
you may.
So I just, and it doesn't affect my department, so I'm fine with it, but just because I don't know if this question will come up. So the way it reads is that you can't take a county vehicle outside of the county. The intent is you shouldn't be taking it home, correct? Because that's not the way it reads. The way it reads, you can't take it.
Should be take home vehicle.
So I don't know if that's the way I would read that is I can't take it to go to my meetings. I have to go to a Transtar.
No, county businesses.
Okay, that's why I'm just double checking.
Yeah.
Because that's not what it says. So,
Maybe we need to qualify or
Yeah, so it should be,
Verbiage on that.
okay. We can fix that, so,
all right, I'll withdraw my second if you want to revise your motion.
okay.
It does say, judge drive county vehicles home. Does it say home? It does say.
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home. I mean.
And you're good.
the three of us missed it, so that's why I brought it up.
Thank you, Aaron.
Oh.
My second stands there.
Yes,
Okay, so,
you got a motion.
you got a motion and a second, so the discussion is. You're gonna get with Lauren, whoever, and to get her to send the email out to all department heads.
Yeah.
Explaining this and
Yeah, I'll get Chelsea to do that.
perfect, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to the consent agenda.
Real quick, do we have an estimate on tax when they're gonna maybe look at it and revise, so I can pass this down to concerned employees?
Yes, tax supposed to be here, I think sometime next month, so. Those individuals that do take vehicles home now, we'll review that on a case by case basis. And bring that back to court.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. I had a request to table number 17. Because they have not provided the required bond yet. Commissioner Combs?
I'm actually good, Judge.
Commissioner Hammond?
Good, Judge.
Good.
All right. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda. Motion by Commissioner Price, second by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carried. I'll pay it down. I think we have one item to go to executive on consultation with attorney. That's what I was mentioned, so we will recess at 11:48 a.m. Regular session, regular court, and go to executive session.
All right, Chambers County Commissioner Court come to order after executive session. It's now 12:21 PM. Nothing to vote on that executive session and nothing further to come for the court. You want Henry? Court's adjourned. I did a video